good, and the speeches were also good. And the best part about this was it was not a competition. Competition always strips away some part of an event. It's always about just winning, but this time this event was about learning only. That was a major advantage of this, which I thought.
I totally agree. Not everything is a competition. For some reason, I hate competitions. Anyone else who has any thought? All right, I'll just call out five names. I would want you people to say anything. Even if you've not heard, let me know that you've not heard. Arjun, any comments? Gauri, I see you're on call. Would you want to share? All right, Gauri, share after Arjun. I'm hoping Arjun is typing in the meanwhile. Gauri, if you think you can share something, please do. Bhavika, do we have any thoughts?
Ma'am, I didn't really listen. Like, I just woke up and then joined.
Okay, not an issue. Raghav Mittal, any thoughts?
Yes, ma'am.
Please do. Please share.
Ma'am, I felt that ma'am the webinar was a ma'am little quite short, ma'am. Actually, the duration should have been around 1 hour because ma'am children weren't free like ma'am to give their opinion. Like there were around 100 of them, so there was not much time. And ma'am Vibhor was also wanted to like add more things to his speech, but he wasn't able to because of the time constraint.
Yes, ma'am. Even when I did my research, there was so much interesting things I wanted to add, but because
Yes,
of the
ma'am.
time constraint, I wasn't able to.
If I get another session arranged, do you think you would participate a bit more actively then?
Yes, ma'am, for
Yes,
sure.
ma'am. Surely. Ma'am.
Sure, ma'am. Sure.
All right. And other than that, I'm not just looking at audience now. Anyone who would also want to volunteer as a speaker. So we had three speakers today. Anyone who thought that I should have also spoken today or I wish I had got the chance. Did anyone have those thoughts coming in their mind?
Ma'am, a little.
All
Yes.
right. Shivam, I'll keep you in mind when next time something like this comes up. If you remember, I think I spoke. Arjun, I've read this. I'm sorry I did not acknowledge, but I've read this. Thank you for sharing. If you remember, I once spoke about the need for public speaking. It's not always when you, I mean, I don't have doubts that you people can't read from a paper or you can't write properly, but I do have my doubts when it comes to conduct an audience. So if you have about 100 odd people on a call, I would want to see how you people either interact with the audience as a moderator or as a speaker or even just as an audience. One observation I have, and it has been true for almost every, all right, I'll not say every because that covers everyone, but I've seen too many people talking in a very weird way. I can't even act it out. All right, give me a sentence. I'll read what Arjun has written and I'll read it the way I don't like people saying. You're allowed to laugh only if you mute your mics. It You people talk like this. Ma'am, Vibhor presented himself as a very good moderator and spoke very valid points about how sustainable development is the need of the hour. That is how some people talk, which is not really a good way how a speaker should talk. So maybe you emphasize a lot on certain alphabets, or maybe we over exaggerate some syllables. How can we address this problem? You people might even not know that you have this problem, or this is how some of you talk. How exactly can we address? One, we talk a little more frequently in English. So maybe whenever we're giving a reply, we give our reply in English. Maybe we try practicing English. This is not related to the colonial mindset that we spoke of. If you remember, we did talk about how we have a colonial mindset. It simply says that if we claim to know a language, how about we work on it properly? Similarly, if we claim to know Hindi, how about we work on that properly? Whatever language you're okay with, the way Vibhor said, whosoever wants to share, be it in Hindi, be it in English. No, I am not targeting the entire South Indian population. Not at all. No. Do not accuse me of being a racist or something. No, I am talking about. I would not want to pinpoint names now. Raghav, don't make me do that. But how about maybe next time someone does that and I'll say, Suna kaise bola ye? It is not the South Indian population. It's not the accent I'm making fun of. I'm not making fun of anything at all. I'm simply highlighting how visibly uncomfortable you are with the language. A language that you claim to have been studying since the beginning of your education journey. I think it is Hindi that comes in late. Third year, fourth, I think we start learning Hindi. English is something that we start very early on. Again, a colonial mindset, but now that we have been a part of the system, I was kind of hoping that we'll be a bit more comfortable with the language. Did not try to target the South Indian population.
Mama, I was understanding the way you were speaking just now. What I think is that it actually is a reason, product of not having the appropriate vocabulary at the particular point of time. So that is something the speaker should work on.
Not having maybe not knowing enough words, maybe lack of vocabulary, maybe not even practicing enough at your own individual levels. One major shock that I got when I came to this school, children talk in Hindi so much, and now I've also started talking in Hindi with the children. The previous organization I was working in, children used to talk among themselves also in English. So if you pass through the corridors of the previous school that I came from, you will listen children giggling and laughing and making fun of one another, doing what not, all in English. Since again, colonial mindset, कहना कुछ भी कह लो आप. But the point is, you become comfortable with the language only if you practice it. We don't really practice it as much. No, Raghav. Sometimes you make me attack South Indian, sometimes it is Christian. It is a normal English medium school, not much. All right, I'll take you back to budget. Anyone else who wants to share any thoughts? All right, tell me, how about this? Maybe towards the end of every session, or maybe before we begin and before we conclude, how about I ask two people to say something random? Do you think I can start that?
Ma'am, yes, I think it would be fun.
Anyone who's not comfortable, I would not want to impose my ideas. Some of you might disagree, and I'm okay with disagreement. Anyone who's not okay, that ma'am, already please don't call out my name in this activity. I will surely respect your boundaries. I am seeing no coming up in my chat. Okay. Just in case anyone wants to back out, you can also back out on the set date. ऐसा नहीं है that I will impose just because you've not said no right now. All right, I'll take you back to budget. We have we started at 10, we finish at 10:35. I'll try to finish at 10:30, and maybe we start from today, where I would ask anyone to talk about anything at all. I'm sharing my screen, quickly going to budget.
Yeah, ma'am, sure. Just one little doubt. Will you be giving us the topic, or do we have to work on the topic?
I simply want you to speak. So whatever you want. Some people might have something to say. I would allow them to share. Some people might not know what to talk about. I'll give them some boosters or some hints, whatever that works. I just want to hear you people. And also, it's been so long since I've heard everyone talk.
Sure, ma'am. Sure.
All right, sharing my screen then. Things we did yesterday, we spoke of the receipts, that is revenue and capital receipt. We then discussed expenditure, that is revenue and capital expenditure. Before I proceed further, I would want Raghav Arora, do you think you can give me one example of revenue expenditure? Arnav, you will give an example of capital expenditure. By the time Raghav is typing, Arnav, do you think you can unmute and give me an example?
Ma'am, land and building.
What for land and building? What exactly are we doing with the land and the building?
Ma'am, may I?
Please do.
Construction of railways, capital expenditure.
Taken because there's an increase in asset. Raghav, interest payments accepted because neither does asset increase nor does the liability reduce. Arna, for land and building, I understood what you wanted to say. Maybe just one more example.
Ma'am, can I?
Please do.
Ma'am, repayment of loans, that will be capital expenditure.
Reason.
Ma'am, it reduces the liability of the government.
Very nice. Taken. So if you're looking at a question where it asks you to bifurcate as capital or revenue expenditure, keep in mind if the asset is increasing, goes as a capital expenditure. If the liability is reducing, goes as a capital expenditure. If neither of the two are changing, then we're looking at a revenue expenditure. So if you see that how the government has been working on giving out subsidies to the poor people, the migrant workers, or how the government has been working on distributing food to the people in the times of the pandemic, where exactly do I categorize this? As revenue or capital expenditure?
Revenue.
Of course, it's revenue. Neither is my asset increasing nor is my liability reducing. Fine. Similarly, I can give you more such questions. Just keep an open mind. See where the your liability or assets are changing, and then you categorize. Moving forth, we are looking at types of budget. Now, when you're saying types of budget, this is not exactly types. It's basically the balancing of the budget happening. I'm not really fond of the heading. Many books will give the same heading. Before I start discussing, I would want you people to read the highlighted portion, and then we talk about this.
Done, ma'am.
All right. 3 ways in which your budget can turn out. One, you're looking at a balanced budget. What exactly is a balanced budget? Where whatever receipts you're expecting happens to match out with your expenditure that you're expecting. A very rare circumstance, when it comes to how exactly can it happen, because it is purely estimated. So you're expecting your revenue and you're expecting your expenditure, and somehow it matches, then we call it a balanced budget. Surplus budget is when you anticipate your receipts to be more than your expenditure. So if you're anticipating that you'll end up earning more and you would be spending less, that is what we call a surplus budget. Deficit budget is when you anticipate that your expenditure will be more and your revenue would be less. Very often, the governments run a deficit budget. That is, they know that they have more planned expenditure as compared to the revenue that they can generate. We'll be talking about deficit more. We won't be talking much about balanced and surplus budget. Balanced budget is not really a problem because whatever you think you will be earning, you're spending the same. There's no liability coming out of it. So since it's not really a problem, we're not really discussing much about it. Rather, it's a good situation to be in. Surplus budget, when your revenue is more than your expenditure, another good situation to be in. provided you use the surplus in a good manner. अब अपनी debatable हो जाता है. If I give you a very basic idea, whatever surplus you are earning, if you tend to send it or infuse it in the economy, what exactly do you think can happen? If the government earned a surplus and they have given that money to, say, commercial banks, what problem can we anticipate?
Ma'am, inflation, high rates of inflation.
A surplus budget is very often accompanied with inflation. So if you do not manage a surplus budget properly, there are chances you'll have inflation. There are different ways of managing the budget, but since that is, I think someone wants to say something.
Ma'am, can you elaborate this point?
I'm simply saying that whenever you have a surplus, that simply means you have more money than what you've spent. Now, if the commercial banks get this money, that would basically increase the money supply, taking you back to what we did in the last lesson of the money multiplier. Your money supply will rise and the money in the hands of the public will also rise. So you're looking at more inflation in the economy. We'll talk more about inflation maybe next month. But for now, what exactly is inflation? If people buy more and more goods and services, the price level in the economy rises. So inflation has a lot of demerits accompanied with it. With your income not changing and the price level rising, there are chances you won't be able to afford what you were initially able to afford. So an inflation is not really a high level of inflation is not really a good thing to begin with. When you have a surplus, you do run a risk of inviting inflation along. If your RBI and the government do not manage this surplus properly, there are chances of having inflation. Why exactly will we not talk much about surplus budget? Because you are then entering into another sphere, that is the policy making. We are restricting ourselves from policy making. We'll talk about different types of deficits though. Deficits are important to discuss because whenever you even take out any paper about any relevant paper such as, say, the Financial Times or Economic Times, very often they'll talk about deficits. A deficit, maybe there are different types of deficit. Every deficit will talk about something or the other which is different from another. We'll be focusing on three types. One, we'll talk about revenue deficit. Next, we'll have fiscal deficit, and then we'll have primary deficit. We'll talk about them one by one. How about, all right, you first read, and then we'll talk about this. Revenue deficit is important. ध्यान से पढ़ना.
Excuse me, ma'am.
हाँ जी.
Ma'am, I just had one question regarding this.
Please
How
ask.
much money does government really has? If it has such a great amount of capital reserves, then when will it run out if it's being decreased and decreased over the period of time?
How is it related to this?
I guess it's directly related to this. This part is talking about how capital reserves are being used by the government for the revenue expenditures. So, ma'am, how much of capital reserve does the government really hold? If we talk about India, and when will it run out? Actually, if this trend keeps on happening.
All right, I'll stay away from this question for 5 minutes and I'll come back to this. All right, when we're talking about revenue deficit, your meaning simply says that you're looking at excess of total revenue expenditure over the revenue receipts. So we've spoken about what exactly is the revenue expenditure. Neither will create an asset nor will it reduce a liability. We also know what exactly is revenue receipt. An income that is not increasing any liability nor is it reducing any asset. If I find the difference here, if my revenue expenditure happens to be greater than my revenue receipt, this is my sign that I'm running a revenue deficit. Now, revenue deficit is considered to be a very alarming situation. Why exactly? Revenue expenditure is taken to be a day-to-day level expenditure. That is, when I say day-to-day level, I'm simply looking at recurring expenditure. So you have to give, say, salaries to your police officers, you have to give salaries to your hospital doctors, to your government school teachers, to your MCD workers, to the cleaners, to the politicians, etc., etc., etc. Now, all your revenue interest payments, pointed out by Raghav just before some time, all these expenditures are recurring in nature, and you already know that you have to incur these expenses. So, even if you're giving out a subsidy, the government already knows that I have to give out subsidy to so and so category of people. Revenue expenditure, then largely when I'm saying a recurring kind of an expenditure, that basically means the government already knows. Coming to revenue receipt. Now, when I'm talking about revenue receipt, this is also the income that the government has already anticipated. When you're talking about the interest that you're getting, or when you're talking about the dividend that you're getting, or when you're looking at an estimate of indirect tax collection or direct tax collection, you already know that you have income coming in these months. You can already estimate, looking at your previous trends, how much are you about to earn. So again, revenue receipt is also recurring in nature, and you have an idea. If a situation arises that your revenue expenditure is greater than revenue receipt, this simply means that you are unable to meet your day-to-day expenses. When you're not able to meet your day-to-day expenses, ideally, how should you react to this? Either you reduce your revenue expenditure, try to cut back on certain expenses, either say reduce the subsidies that you're offering, or try to offer less rate of interest on certain deposits that you've committed to. In some way, you reduce your expenditure. If you're unable to do that, the next is you increase your revenue receipt. Try to increase the fee that you'll be charging. You cannot easily change the tax rates. आप direct tax या indirect tax के rates नहीं change कर सकते, because you will have retaliation coming from the public. So what exactly can you do? You can in some way change your receipts of non-tax revenue. If that also doesn't work, then you're looking at an alarming situation. I have one analogy for this. This simply means that if I have to put ration in my home, that basically means I will have to now sell off my jewelry. Can you understand how bad that situation becomes? I have to put in certain basic essentials, my day-to-day kharcha, and for that I have to sell my jewelry. Not exactly a good sign. Similarly, if I bring an analogy at the government's level, if you want to meet your revenue expenditure, it is always a good idea that you try to cover it from your revenue receipt. If you're unable to do it, then the government will have to go to a capital receipt. Now, when I'm saying capital receipt, how sad will it be that the government has to sell off a public sector undertaking only to meet the salaries of doctors and teachers and all the workers that we have around? Not really a good sign. Shivam, coming back to your question, when I'm saying capital receipt, I'm not looking at reserves that the government has. Government has different sources by which you can talk about increasing your receipt. You can sell off an asset, you can sell off shares, you can take a loan. However, that is not a good sign. Reason being, you're taking this loan just to meet day-to-day expenses. Taking you back to chapter 3, LPG chapter of Indian Eco. If you remember, we studied this there also, that all the money that the government raised from this investment, they did not use it for a good purpose or for purposes of productive investment. Rather, they used it for consumption uses. Do we remember that?
Yes, ma'am, we do. But here my question is not about. I will reframe my question. What is the value of capital assets which our government holds. And if this trend of deficits will continue, when will that amount of capital assets will perish?
All right. I think then maybe you're assuming that we go on running a deficit and the government is financing that deficit thoroughly to capital receipts. I think that is your assumption.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
And by capital receipts, you're looking at largely disinvestment as the source of capital receipt, right?
Ma'am, yes, this is investment and loans.
All right. The government has very often relied on your capital receipts for matching the deficit. Why exactly are we talking about deficit? Because this is one very common trend that the government has been setting for different deficits. However, the history has taught us that financing your deficit through capital receipt is not a good sign. We did this back in 91. When we used the incoming receipt of the disinvestment for meeting our deficit. That is one lesson that we learned from the past, that you're not supposed to do, or you're not supposed to finance your deficit through capital receipt. There are different ways of financing your deficits, or there are different ways of combating your deficit. One very reliable, however time consuming tool is you making productive investments. Productive investments are those which will generate income in future. You can either invest, or you can again cut back your expenditure, or you can increase your receipts. If all of this is not working and the government goes on using capital receipts, for some reason I am not convinced that they will just rely on capital receipts. Out of all the options that the governments will have, solely relying on capital receipts, solely selling off all your public sector undertakings so that they can finance their revenue expenditure is a very hypothetical situation. No sane government with the sane finance ministry will allow or will suggest that. If that happens, then you can look at a doomed economy there.
Sure, ma'am. Ma'am, just curious, what is the capital net worth of government enterprises?
Feel free to go through the budget, Shiva. I've never been curious about that, so I've never searched that. Since you're curious, you have the budget online. Feel free to go through.
Yeah, ma'am.
We'll have all those assets there.
Sure,
All
ma'am.
right. Bringing you back to the discussion of revenue deficit, why exactly are we taking it as a serious deficit or serious problem? Simply because the government is unable to meet their day-to-day expenses. If you're unable to meet your day-to-day expenses, you will have to take a capital receipt. Taking a capital receipt, that is either taking a loan for meeting your day-to-day expenses or selling off an asset for meeting your day-to-day expenses, is not really a good sign of a healthy economy. Hence, you should always be concerned if the government is running a revenue deficit. We have another deficit which goes by the name of fiscal deficit. What I can do right now, I can stop fiscal deficit and primary here because these are important topics and they will take more than 5 minutes. I will stop sharing here. And I meant it when I said that I would want to hear you people. Anyone who wants to volunteer for today, anyone who has their mics ready and they don't mind unmuting and talking in front of the class for a minute or two.
I think you should choose.
I'm a patient person. I can wait for someone to volunteer. I don't want to impose myself.
I can do.
Patience always works out. All right, Ritika, you. Bhavishya, anything at all. Anything at all. Favorite food, favorite movie, or how you are angry at whatever is happening around, how you've been coping up, anything at all, anything that crosses your mind. how your friendships have changed over a period of time, how strengthened they've become, or how you realize that people you consider to be your friends are not really your friends. Anything that is going in your mind, any struggles, anything you're proud of that you've done lately, I can listen to anything that you have to share. Tanya, that is very funny. I am laughing internally. Ritika, I am muting myself. Please stop.
Right. So yesterday I went ahead and watched Gunjan Saxena, the Kargil girl, and I think it was a pretty good movie. Like Janvi Kapoor did a pretty good job taking up the character that she did, and if I just say that